Gaurav, I want to understand from you as well what the road to expansion looks like in terms of your client roster, etc., and also in terms of spectrum and regulation. As Rajesh was pointing out, there is still some grey there in terms of private and captive networks. So far, there's only one company, that's Adani, that has got spectrum outside of the telecom operators to set up a private or a captive network. I want to understand from you your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I agree to Rajesh. There is, still some clarity need to be given by government on the captive and private networks. But they have already enabled us through the service providers. Like we are working with BSNL in that. So we are going to use their spectrum to provide private and captive, services. So we are looking, in fact, because in like US, in other countries, private spectrum is completely separate. Even you need not to go to the service providers. So the government can enable us also, or enable all the industries, so they can apply for the spectrum and they can use as per their requirement. So, but still, we have already started our POC. The spectrum is testing spectrum has been allotted to us from DOT. And we are looking forward to work and do some commercial deployment starting from January on BSNL spectrum till the time private spectrum is not allowed to every end point or every end industries. And the roadmap is very interesting. To be very honest, it was like from 10 years we are in telco. It was never, like that before. From last 1 year, that kind of traction we have seen, and the IMC was also a great success for us, grand success for us also, because every minister, every ministry, everyone came there and tried to understand all the use cases like agriculture, mines, so that way we see a lot of potential. We have already more than 100 requirements to start our trials and POCs in multiple industries. We are looking forward for that. We have a lot in hand. So now we just need to align to the requirements. So there are multiple, use cases in every industry. This private 5G or private LT is required. And as of now, at least we have spectrum allowance through BSNL, and through testing spectrum we can apply with government. So once if it is allowed to the every private entity, then the traction will be much more. The things will be more easier to roll out.
Yeah, we are still waiting to hear from the government on private networks. But let me go back and understand from Anant what the future looks like as far as Tweek is concerned for these customizable suits. Anant, you're talking about a big global opportunity, but how long before we actually, what's the runway looking like for you at this point in time before you actually head in that direction?
Yeah, I think like this is not very far away from our point of view. I think in general, there is going to be, the world is going to turn out to be smarter. And this is something that's inevitably going to happen because of the infrastructure that the whole world is kind of building in terms of technology. Even, when you say that, when 5G comes in, and there is a lot of enablement that happens for startups like ours, right? I mean, there are things that become possible which we did not have to build specifically. We did not have to put resources on, but there are other people and other enablers, exactly like telecom operators who spend so much resources in getting that infrastructure ready for 5G to make things more reliable from whatever products that we develop. Of course, startups like ours will go and solve those kind of niche problems. Let's say, creating a manufacturing pipeline for apparel with wires embedded in them and sensors embedded in them, which is, again, a niche hard problem to solve, but there is a larger, a much more expensive problem to solve that enables these sensors to then communicate to the cloud, which is then again something that you use existing technology to kind of connect it. So the only reason why startups who are able to solve these niche problems are able to come into the market is because of their standing on the shoulders of these giants who are enabling us in their technology.
Okay, well, you believe that the world is going to be smarter. I hope it's not going to just be tech smart. I hope we are going to see people make more rational decisions, more empathetic decisions as well. But Aakrit, let me come back to you now. You are part, of course, of the Geo platforms now. And you were talking about what this is actually going to mean in this new 5G world, the kind of conversations, the kind of engagement that brands are likely to have with their customers. In terms of further customization, in terms of further personalization, etc. Give me a view of what the world is likely to look like.
I think from our perspective, what Haptik does and also what Haptik does as part of Geo platforms, I think it's more of the same but accelerated. So one area about where we think there's going to be a lot of adoption and acceleration is going to be this whole idea of engaging through video. So if you think about it, video commerce as, let's say, a way of brands engaging with consumers is something that's very mainstream in the US and really, really huge in China. We think that that is going to be a big area of innovation in India from various reasons. Video as an engagement medium is anyways very popular. Consumers and people love, doing things through video. So we think that presents a fairly large opportunity. And because of this accelerated, better connectivity, low latency bandwidth, we think there's a lot you can do over there. So that's one area. The second is, our efforts towards augmented reality and the metaverse at large. There is a lot of buzz around, everything that we talk about in the metaverse, headset, Oculus, and so on. But we need to, back to my earlier point, consumerize some of these use cases. I think by bringing in better, again, connectivity, low latency, and trying to build AI models on top is now possible. So we're going to see a lot of innovation when brands are trying to engage consumers through the metaverse, powered by lots of data and AI coupled together. So those are the two areas that we feel we're very excited about and we think will accelerate because of this transition, video commerce and then augmented reality and metaverse at large.
Okay, video commerce, metaverse, those are going to be the areas of opportunity that we could see companies like Haptik leverage on. And of course, Rajesh, Gaurav are also hoping to be able to build out the ecosystem around the networks. And Anant is hoping that as the world gets smarter, they will find more opportunities for the stuff that they're doing. Well, gentlemen, thanks very much for joining us here on this edition of Young Turks to talk about India's 5G bet and what startups at this point in time are trying to do to capitalize on it. And we wish you the very best of luck with your future plans. Appreciate your time here on the show. That's it then on this edition of Young Turks. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. The news continues right after this.